another one of my live stream lectures. And before I get into today's very important lecture, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my channel. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's very important lecture, which is the focus of this lecture is going to be really good tips if you are in the process of relocating from one state to another state. You know, if the viewers are aware, you know, I'm in the process of relocating out of the state of Florida to the state of Georgia. You know, I retired September of 2023 and came to Florida. Been here about a year and a half, and the hurricanes ain't working for me, so I'm getting up out of here. But with that being said, I'm going to share some very actually, I will be in my new place March 1st of 2025 in Georgia. I'm so excited. But I'm going to share with the viewer, the listener, some very important tips. You know, I've been in the military. I've relocated a lot in the military world, the civilian world. So I understand many important things that has to be done correctly, especially when you're relocating from one state to the other to avoid going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's exhausting. That's using up time and money. Because when you're traveling back and forth in between states to tie up loose ends, that's going to cause money, gas, wear and tear on your car, and time. So some things that you got to do is, and I tell people this, go to your bank, physically go inside of the bank, your banks, all of the financial institutions that you bank with, and go sit down and talk to a representative and make sure you update your new mailing address with every single one of your financial institutions. That is critical, because if you don't do that and you relocate, now you're in a different state, different address, different zip code. That zip code that you're now living under ain't going to match with the financial institution, and you ain't going to be able to use your debit card. Because when you use a debit card, that zip code has to match. If it does not match, that debit card is not going to clear. So about 2 weeks before I exit up out of here, because I'm going to be officially a resident of the state of Georgia March 1st, which is right around the corner, I'm going to make it my business to go to every single one of my financial institutions and update my new mailing address. In addition, make sure about a couple of weeks before you relocate, you take your behind to the post office and do a change of address with the post office. Because on that form, it's going to say the date that you want mail to stop at the old address, and the date that you want the mail to begin at your new address. And they're going to ask you for ID. It's critical that you do that, people. And a lot of people don't think about that. It's because you don't want any interruptions in your mail. Another important piece that you have to do is some stakeholders, you know, even if you do the change of address with the post office, just like financial institutions, any other stakeholder that you may need to let know of your new address so they can update it in the system. And I'm gonna give you an example of that. You know, I'm retired from the state of North Carolina state government. So when I get to my new address, I got to go into my retirement portal, and they're going to have to send me a form. I'm going to have to get notarized. It's a change of address form that I got to make sure my retirement stakeholder is aware of my new address. That's something that I got to literally stop. I got to request that change of address form from state or North Carolina retirement system to protect my confidentiality. It is not something that I can do online. No, I got to call. They're going to verify who I am. They're going to send me a change of address form. I got to get that forms, fill it out, get it notarized, and get it to state government. So that's real important. And I even wrote that down because that's dealing with my money. That's dealing with my retirement and etc. Even though I get paid with my retirement income electronically, but they still have to have my updated physical address because at the end of the year, they have to mail me a 1099 to reflect my retirement income for the whole year. And I turn around and give that to my CPA. So that's critical, people. Another important critical piece when you're relocating is make sure you got everything set up with where you're going to be living. You know, if you got a job, make sure you set that job up before you get there. Even on retired, but my next living arrangements, that's all set up. I done made a couple of trips to Georgia already to do some footwork to meet and to make sure everything's in order with my next resident. So you got to do that before you relocate. I got a move-in date March 4th to be in Georgia. And here, rural, I've been doing all this behind the scenes stuff for a good 2 months now, tying up loose ends. And another important piece, if you're relocating, if it just happened, for me, it just happened that my relocation, for me making my decision to get on up out of here occurred September 2024 after all of the hurricanes hit and I lost everything. So that's enough for me. I ain't staying here no another year. Let me get on up out of here, recoup my losses. So when I knew that I was going to be leaving the state of Florida after the hurricane damage, one of the things I did, because it was already the latter part of the year, I deliberately strategized to be here long enough to tie my loose ends, to be here long enough to get all my 1099s and everything from my portfolio earnings, retirement earnings. I had to wait till some of those 1099s hit, gather all my stuff, documentation to turn over to my certified public accountant. He already got my stuff. And I'm still waiting on one more 1099, but he still have all my documents. My taxes will be ready and completed the end of February. So I deliberately stayed in place to ensure that my taxes were filed in Florida before I exit out. And the reason why I did that, because it was so close to the end of the year. It would have just made things a little bit more complicated by me uprooting and leaving before I had an opportunity to gather all of my documents, 1099s. I'm using the same CPA this year that I used last year because I was a Florida resident in 2023. I'm using the same CPA for 2024. He did a phenomenal job by me relocating to Georgia. I haven't been there at all long enough to connect to a reputable certified public accountant. But by me relocating there and being there March of this year, I have plenty of time as the months go by to get some positive referrals on a new certified public accountant in the area that I'm going to be living in Georgia, someone who's highly recommended, who can continue to do my personal and business taxes. This is deep talk, people. And a lot of people, when you're talking about uprooting and relocating, there's a lot of logistics behind the scene. If you want to do it correctly, if you want to avoid making trips back and forth because you got some loose ends that you didn't complete, important paperwork hadn't been done, or you didn't file your taxes and you don't have all your documents from the state that you left, that can create a lot of unnecessary discord when you and it's going to slow you down from focusing on things that you need to do in the new state and getting yourself situated. So like I said, I'm at the tail end. I'm basically, the only thing now I'm waiting on is I got my last appointment. I ain't going nowhere until this appointment is done. I got my last appointment on February the 27th to go meet with my accountant to pick up all of my documents. My taxes will be filed. And as soon as I leave his office, I'm getting in my car and I'm getting in my car and driving to Georgia because everything is set up. So, I tell folks, Handle your business. Handle your important business anytime when you're relocating from one state to the other. That'll avoid you a lot of time and money. Time is money, and I've known people who have relocated, and I've sat down and had discussions with them, and they will sometimes be telling me that they had to make 3 and 4 trips back and forth from the state that they love to deal with important business. They get important paperwork, and they left undone. So again, share this information in terms of valuable tips in relation to when you're relocating from one state to a new state. And again, I'm so excited to get on up out of Florida. Florida ain't working for me. And I'm just, looking forward to spending the first year in the area that I'm going to be living in Georgia, studying the zip code, and etc. in business as usual. So that's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.